What are you embarrassed to admit you like? Good morning, good evening, how goes it, hello. I'm saying good day, with a howdy, and so dash what up, my amigo. What's happening, guy? A warm salutations. A wonderful hi. Smile? To be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand Rick and Morty. The humor is extremely subtle, and without a solid grasp of theoretical physics most of the jokes will go over a typical viewer's head. There's also Rick's nihilistic outlook, which is deftly woven into his characterization. His personal philosophy draws heavily from Narodnaya Volya literature, for instance. The fans understand this stuff, they have the intellectual capacity to truly appreciate the depths of these jokes, to realize that they're not just funny, they say something deep about life. As a consequence, people who dislike Rick and Morty truly are idiots. Of course they wouldn't appreciate, for instance, the humor in Rick's existential catchphrase wubba lubba dub dub, which itself is a cryptic reference to Turgenev's Russian epic Fathers and Sons. I'm smirking right now just imagining one of those. Addle-pated simpletons scratching their heads in confusion as Dan Harmon's genius wit unfolds itself on their television screens. What fools! How I pity them, smiley face. And yes, by the way, I do have a Rick and Morty tattoo. And no, you cannot see it. It's for the ladies' eyes only, and even then they have to demonstrate that they're within 5 IQ points of my own, preferably lower, beforehand. Nothing personnel, kid, cool face. Babe, I have a confession to make. I like anime. / It's okay babe, I've always liked Ghibli stuff, Cowboy Bebop was cool and I loved the Satoshi. / You don't understand? I really like anime. / Oh god, no. Reading about serial killers, natural disasters, plane crashes, terror attacks. It's all so fascinating to me, to try and put myself in those places, to understand what those people were thinking or were going through at the time of those events. I can't relate to them otherwise. It's desensitization, I have no other explanation. I see a breaking story about an attack or a tsunami and I want to know everything and watch all footage I possibly can. And it's not all bad. Reading the stories of heroic pilots who fought so hard to try and save their passengers, it can make you marvel at the human race, as well as be disgusted by it. I really like hugging people. Not in a sexual way, just friendly. It was sort of a standard greeting in my hometown, but in this new city I live in I have 2 friends who I rarely ever see, and when I do it is not standard practice to hug and I feel weird about initiating it. There is just something so comforting about feeling someone else you love in your arms and I miss it a lot. Frown. Edit, thanks for all the replies. It's very cool to see how others feel about this. I do understand that it's not for everyone, which is why I don't usually initiate it unless it seems welcomed. Smile. Also, thank you very much for the gold, kind stranger, this is my first time. I feel like I've reached a milestone. I honestly haven't been able to think of anything I'm embarrassed by anymore. It used to be a much longer list earlier in life, but that list withered away to nothing over the years. All of those taboo things, or things that aren't inherently masculine, or just plain silly, I'll freely admit to these days. When I was a kid and all of the boys were watching Dragon Ball Z, and all of the girls were watching Sailor Moon, I was watching both. That used to be a secret, but it doesn't bother me these days. Now I can have fun with it, like setting all of the default sounds on the computers at work on my last night here to the Sailor Moon theme song. Morning shift will never forget me. The Clone Wars animated Cartoon Network series. It's good, but I feel like a child. I think we should all get away from the stigma in Western culture that associates animation with children. I'm not sure if you're talking about the 2D one by Genndy Tartakovsky or the newer CG one by Dave Filoni, but I think they're both amazing and there is plenty for adults to appreciate. Reading ridiculous numbers of sci-fi and fantasy wiki articles, Wikipedia, Memory Alpha, Memory Beta, LOTR Wikia, Lostpedia, OIF, etc. Man, I love doing that, especially if it's something that I don't know much about. You can tell that these articles are written by fans and it's so much fun to just get in there and absorb all the concentrated lore. I once got stuck in some Warhammer wiki for like an hour, just clicking through random articles, and it was awesome. Bonus points if there is a detailed timeline available. Bro, these idiots below me are roasting you, but you're 100% correct. The people that say R&M is deep are probably the same that think Inception was confusing and couldn't understand it. Rick and Morty is not deep at all. I would put shows like Black Mirror above something like Rick and Morty on the intellectual stimulating spectrum, even though Rick and Morty is one of my favorite shows and I like it more than Black Mirror. Anime, as soon as you start talking about it people go oh my god what a fucking weibo. Whoa. The trick is to recognize that there is a difference between liking something and hating when others don't like something. People who have admitted to watching anime, that I know of: Bill Burr, watched/liked One Punch Man. John Cena, said his favorite is Fist of the North Star. Sam Jackson, said he likes anime, hentai too. I told this story a few days ago on another thread. I went to a Rick and Morty themed rave about a year ago. I had a really great time. Lots of people there just to have a good time with music, but enough in costume that if you referenced the show you would get a fun wubba lubba dub dub in return. Since the season 3 premiere where Szechuan sauce was a thing, I have had zero desire to engage myself in the community again. 2 weeks of the same shitty unoriginal Szechuan jokes in any remotely popular sub was bad enough. I can't imagine how bad it is at events and actually in the communities. It's really a shame, because Rick and Morty is a great show. It's just that its fanbase has gotten really annoying and made a bad name for itself. Right about when S3 hit is exactly when I started seeing people dissing R&M. Not a coincidence. Here's a list of things I love that I'm not supposed to now that I work with snobby super educated professionals: regular Coke, Cheetos, Taco Bell, a giant steak, overeating, overdrinking, watching too much TV, 90s action movies, driving when I could walk, sleeping in past 11 a.m., swearing too much, theme parks, tiki drinks, hot tubs, dairy products, the list goes on. Look, fresh good food, a great book, and a good workout are perfectly nice things, but where are my people who can admit to indulging in life's other great pleasures? Fan fiction? Hey, a lot of the media we consume is basically just fan fiction. Fanfic gets stigmatized because people just assume pimply losers who live in their parents' basement are either writing or reading it, but like any adaptation is totally just glorified fanfic. Game of Thrones, any comic book movie adaptations of books or books that were literally out of character fan fiction. One day I think, People will get less judgmental about it and realize we're all just consuming the same off-brand fan fiction, or whatever. Once you look past the stereotypes around certain genres, you realize there is a lot of good music out there. I used to turn off Coldplay songs when they came on because whiny bullcrap, but after I started listening to them more I realized they are a terrific group. Same with new hip-hop, which I once believed was all about sex and drugs. Turns out, there are still artists rapping about important issues, which is what brought me to like the genre originally. If you give different genres a chance, your library will be better off for it. My manager and I get all fangirly about it whenever we talk about it, but frankly I love people that admit to liking it in real life. I could go on and on about theories and fanfics and interesting tidbits about the show, but I'll only do it if you want to hear them. Tongue. I love the fact that David Tennant has trouble pronouncing double O sounds in an English accent, so the line where he says Jadoon platoon upon the moon was made deliberately to fuck with him. I used to be depressed until I got a new boss at the grocery store I work at. She saw that I worked way harder than the rest and every once in a while she compliments me on how good of a worker I am. I hope she never quits and keeps paying attention to the people that actually care about their jobs. 80s pop/new wave. Talking about it makes me sound like I was born in the wrong generation. Oh man, me too. Or if I say I love the Smiths I get asked if I'm depressed or goth. I saw The Cure last year and Blondie a few weeks ago, and I will hopefully see the Psychedelic Furs soon. I'm always worried the next tour will be their last for new wave bands. Frown, I've already given up seeing Morrissey given how often he cancels shows and his health problems. I'm 43, and I still play with Lego blocks. Set up scenarios, do voices, imagine myself within the scenario, the whole thing. Usually while listening to Madonna records. I like to build big elaborate churches. Then turn them into taverns. Always churches into taverns. I do not go to church, agnostic, and I don't drink. Over-the-top action movies. What's the most over-the-top action movie? The whole Fast and Furious series. Recently saw Fast 5 and 6, those movies are what happens when you take all the key parts of what makes an action movie and crank specifically those to 11 and ignore all else. What's important in an action movie? Action. Okay, here's 2 hours of car chases, shootouts, explosions, and muscles, but all cranked to the absolute max. Enjoy? My favorite TV show, Gumball, is made for people 12 years younger than me. Gumball is hilarious and seriously underrated. Also, I'd say there's a lot of humor there that feels more directed towards people in their late 20s/early 30s. I mean, they had very clear references to music videos like Prodigy's Smack My Bitch Up and Electro Bank by the Chemical Brothers. That ain't kid stuff. Once I got past the BW series, and promptly pretended it never happened, I found Zai was actually good. I mean, I liked it before, but I felt that was mostly just because I like Pokemon, so I would feel weird recommending it to people. But from Zion I honestly think it became good regardless, though I will say I hate the music changes/cuts the dub did, so I've switched to the sub. I enjoy when people play with my hair, it like instantly shuts down my motor skills and relaxes me. My best friend used to always want her arms tickled. Not really tickling, but slowly running your fingers up and down her arms, or if you have nails they make for a solid tickle. She did it far more when we were in high school and college for some time together. Sometimes when we're out to dinner now, she will just slide her arm over in a way that tells you she wants arm tickles. It's the cutest because she isn't a very cuddly person otherwise, but with this she's all about it. Yup. In front of people, I can listen to Americana, or indie, or 90s alternative, or Norwegian black metal with no qualms, but I am not going to bust out anything top 40 where other people could hear it. Not because I'm ashamed, but because I don't feel like having to defend why I'm listening to it. For the same reason everyone does, it's catchy, fun, and doesn't require me to think hard or pay attention in order to get something out of it. It's the auditory equivalent of John Grisham novels, which I also enjoy the way they were meant to be enjoyed, alone, in my room, with a solemn promise from my wife that if I die before I finish it, she will destroy it before she lets anyone into the house, including the coroners. Same. I really like them in an unbridled, unironic way, and when I hear people talk shit about the prequels, which is all the time, I just kinda stay quiet. Besides, the prequels gave us Clone Wars. And I really enjoyed that show, even if it was on Cartoon Network. I just got into anime about 6 months ago, and everything that I've watched has been pretty mainstream, as far as anime goes, SNK, FMAB, TTGL, BNHA, etc. I've had to deal with so many friends being genuinely weirded out by my new hobby, as if liking anime has somehow turned me into a crazy person. I didn't expect that reaction, at all. I used to be embarrassed about a lot of things. I'm now 34 and married, with a kid on the way. I have switched to dad mode. I sing Boys II Men as loud as I can, in traffic, windows down. I can ramble on and on about Naruto. I cackle like an idiot when I watch YouTube haiku videos. I walk around my house sans pants, windows open. Shame is no longer something I experience. Minecraft. Unfortunately, whenever I mention it the response is something like, cool. My 9-year-old brother loves that game. When I get that I just refer to the automated interdimensional mining system I set up in Minecraft. Get mods and go big, then they'll never question your supremacy. Or this system that defragments storage drives. Or this strip mine. Or this vault door. Or this giant city of a base, complete with computer-controlled everything. TL, DR modded Minecraft is insane. And put their arm under my head. Oh, is that what people do? As the big spoon, I can never figure out what to do with my bedside arm. I normally end up with it folded under my own pillow, but this often leaves it with pins and needles. I swear this is one of mankind's greatest unsolved problems. It needs a solution urgently. My fetishes. All of them. I take pride in my fetishes. Yeah, same. I take pride in it to myself. I'm my own man and I like what I like. But I ain't gonna be parading around the internet that I like femdom, piss play, pegging and mind control shit. Wait, fuck no. Aiden, it's a joke, don't worry. I really like Star Wars and D&D. D&D is wonderful. They are actually using it now to help kids on the spectrum. It helps them learn teamwork, strategy, planning, and it lets them create a character that they want to be and makes them more comfortable in their own skin. It's like acting. You get to be someone else, someone braver / stronger / etc., and it helps these kids open up. Legos? I had an ex get me a set for my 20th birthday. I'm 23 now and still love them, but they are too expensive. There is no shame. Seriously, I've been a fan for literally over 2/3 of my life, ever since I got a Tornuju at 6. Lego is a calming creative outburst, except when you can't find that one fucking piece, for literally all ages. Don't be ashamed, display your builds proudly in your living room. I play classical music. Do I love it? Of course. Would I listen to it when I'm trying to finish a workout? Hell no. Being a listener of classical music shouldn't make you a hater of everything else. On the contrary, I believe it should give you a deeper appreciation of music today, understanding its roots in classical music. Big Brother, the TV show. I get why people don't like it, but I love the concept. Putting 16 strangers in a house, and watching them turn on each other for $500,000. Yeah, I was a huge fan until every contestant ends up being a super fan in the recent seasons. They just all seem to be trying way too hard to be another version of a past member. After the second season that Dan, the teacher, got to Final 2, I figured there would never be a better contestant, so I stopped watching. Same. I identify as agnostic if someone asks. But I absolutely love conversations about religion or philosophy. As long as they aren't being a dick about it. I come from a very religious family, and the friendly debates I get into with my uncle are always the highlight of family events.